Both of the following statements are true. The Seattle Mariners struck out 18 times on Sunday. They also won by 4. Baseball. Let's talk about it here on the Locked On Mariners postgame show. Colby, hit it.
You are Locked On Mariners, your daily Seattle Mariners podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Ahoy, sailors. It is Sunday, June 18th, 2023. This is Trident Gonzalez and Colby Patnode for the Locked On Mariners postgame show. Thank you so much for making us your first listen. Subscribe, like, and turn on alerts if you're watching on YouTube, or subscribe and leave a 5-star review on your preferred podcast platform if you like what you hear. And if you're part of the crew and rock with us every single day, let us know in the comments below. And if you want to hear from us even more, please consider signing up for our Patreon. You can now get a free 7-day trial to check out the show. The link, as well as our social accounts, is in the description of this episode. 5-1, the final score from T-Mobile Park. The Mariners take the rubber match against the White Sox. We're going to talk a little bit about Bryce Miller, but first, let's start with this offense, Colby, which set a little bit of Major League history today. The Mariners became the 4th team in Major League history to win by 4 or more runs while striking out 18 or more times. So, a lot of ugly, but then Jarred Kelenic busted things open with a bases clearing triple that made the overall score look a lot better, a lot more favorable for the Mariners. So, because as we all know, wins only count if they win the right way.
Yeah, I always knew this team was going to be historic and record breaking.
Right.
Yeah, so the key in your little stat there was the word win, which is the only thing that we care about, especially when you consider how rough of a weekend it was for teams ahead of you, like Toronto, like Baltimore, like the Houston Astros. Like, really, you picked up a game on everybody except for the Angels at some point this weekend. So, yeah, it's a pretty good weekend. It's a good capper to a pretty good homestand. And I already saw the comments like, yeah, well, they could have swept. They could have won both of these. Yeah, they could have. You know who else could have swept? Pretty much every team in baseball is going to play, 3-game series, and there's going to be one game that they lose that they really could have won.
I mean, you mentioned baseball. The Angels. They had a complete, utter meltdown yesterday in Kansas City.
Right. So
happens.
Yeah.
Baseball. Yeah.
Baseball's hard. Baseball's very hard.
Some days you strike out 18 times and win by 4 or more.
That's right, baby. And that's all that matters, because at the end of the day, regardless of the strikeouts, regardless of the fact that they only had 2 hard hit balls the entire game, they put up a 5 spot. Just imagine 2 weeks ago complaining that the Mariners scored 5 runs. Now, thankfully, I haven't seen a lot of people complain. They're taking the win. They're running with it. Fine, whatever. Good. That's the right attitude to have.
Absolutely.
Because a win is a win is a win. Doesn't really matter how you get it. And hey, you know what? At the end of the day, the reason you won this game was because of Julio Rodriguez, Jarred Kelenic, Bryce Miller. How fun is that? You're 3 of your big young guns. And hey, you know what? Let's give some credit. Ty knows where I'm going with this. To Colton Wong, who finally on June 18th contributed in a big way to a Mariners victory by being the guy who chased Lance Lynn out of this game with a bunt single. Which really set up everything for Kelenic, because, after that, they get him out of the game. JP and Julio, not great. Did JP? No, JP didn't walk against Lopez. He struck out, right?
Against Lopez, he grounded into a force out.
That's right. Yeah. Julio then strikes out, and you're like, oh boy, it looks like it's going to be 2-1, and then walk. Triple.
Teo walked again. Teo walked again.
Man.
Chills. Teo walked again.
And what we've been asking for really in the entire series since the last game against Miami, can somebody please, when you get guys on base, can somebody put one in the gap so you can score multiple runs in an inning? We've been asking for that especially with 2 outs. Find a way to put a ball in the gap, get multiple runs. And today, it just so happened the Mariners only got themselves 2 really good opportunities to score runs in this game. And what happened to the 2 opportunities they had? They put balls in the gap. Oh my gosh, imagine that. And they scored 5 runs essentially off of those 2 hits.
This was not the game I would expect them to do that in.
No, because I'm sitting there the entire time after the 2-run Julio double going like, can they win this game 2-0? Can they win this game 2-1? Because they are not scoring again. It turns out the answer might have been yes, because they got to the 8th up 2-1. But, obviously it's much better that Jared Kelenic found a way to have the hardest hit ball of the day, did Kelenic, after he was having just a rough game, struck out a couple more times, just not looking good for Jared. He comes up, lines it right over the shortstop's head, right into the gap, RBI triple, game over essentially at that point. And yeah, it's fun. It's Julio, who Ty spent a good majority of today treating like he was Colton Wong for some reason, who came up. Julio, big 2 RBI double, also had a stolen base, and a walk. Pretty good day for Julio. Good day for Kelenic.
He read my tweets.
Sure. Not a good day for Ty France, but or Teoscar. Or Gino. Cal Raleigh had 2
all
hits.
those guys have been good lately, so
yeah, you give them a pass. Everybody can have a bad game. Cal Raleigh had a nice game too. Couple hits.
Nice.
Mike Ford is turning back into Mike Ford. Surprise. And Colton Wong, baby, the biggest hit of the day. That wasn't an RBI. That's right, the bunt single. Colton Wong
bunt of all things.
Yeah, I know.
Go figure.
Beautiful bunt.
Sure. Yeah,
but it you do what you got to do, and
such a great bunt. It would make Dave Sims blush.
I'm a little sad he wasn't on the call today. At least on the TV side of things. So because I'm sure that was his favorite play of the entire game.
I'm sure. Yeah.
I'm sure it was too. But again, at the end of the day, this was kind of the outlier for the Mariners offense, and really it went back to yesterday's game. After they chased the starter after 5, you're like, this is great. The Mariners they're putting so much pressure on these guys. It's a continuation of everything we've seen since the San Diego series. And then after the 5th inning, after you got into that mediocre White Sox bullpen, you just slammed on the brakes and you couldn't do anything. Even when you were given the phantom runner at second, 2 innings in a row, you couldn't score a single run.
Yeah. Can we not talk about that anymore?
Yeah, but I'm just saying it was it looked like it was a continuation of that from yesterday. And you're sitting here going like, well, here we go. We had our little, 2-week run on offense, and we couldn't do anything more than 500 with it. That's a bummer. And then, thankfully, Colton Wong stepped up, bunt single. JP didn't do his job, but whatever. He ran hard for a double play, I guess. And then, the Ty France
you just
walk.
praised Jared Kelenic on that like 2 days ago.
Yeah. But I expect more from JP. He ruined Colton Wong. Colton Wong should have scored a run there. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
But it is what it is. And at the end of the day, the Mariners put up 5, and nobody cares about the strikeouts. And kind of the one thing that the Mariners did do to set themselves up to win that the White Sox did not do, they didn't walk anybody. The Mariners only had 7 strikeouts today. They walked nobody. Second game in the series where they had 0 walks, the 2 that they won. And so, the White Sox, despite their 18 strikeouts, they walked 4, which isn't too bad. It's not too bad of a number until you consider that all 4 of those walks came around to score.
Right.
And that's the ball game. So a weird game, certainly for the Mariners, and one for the record books, and in a kind of, just like head tilting way. But at the end of the day, it's a win, and the Mariners win both series, at home before they go off on this tough road trip. So you take it, you bank it, you don't apologize for it, and you picked up a couple games on some teams that you're chasing in the wild. You're only 3 games back right now of a playoff spot. Baseball's
did Boston beat New York?
Oh, no, it's 1-1. So
gotcha.
You could be.
Sunday Night Baseball. Of course, it's Boston versus New York.
Even Alex Cora doesn't like that.
Yeah.
He said it's getting to be a bit much. Like, yep.
I would love to play on a Sunday Night Baseball game, but
have the Mariners done that since we started recording together?
I don't think they've done it since the Cubs game, the Steve Cishek game.
The Cishek wild pitch game, which is 2016, I think.
That was Sunday Night Baseball, right? That wasn't like another prime time ESPN game.
No, I'm pretty sure that was Sunday Night Baseball. But
I think that's the last time. Like they've played on ESPN since then, but that's like opening night, whatever.
I mean, teams won 90 games in back-to-back years. You think you can find them one slot on Sunday Night Baseball, but whatever.
Yeah, especially early in the season, like when the hype was still like very, very much present. Yeah, whatever. Yeah. So, in conclusion, the destination great, the journey pretty ugly. This is definitely not the formula moving forward. This is not it, but we will take it.
Everybody knows the destination is the prize, not the journey. Come on.
Sure.
Come on. Tell you what, if I told you the Mariners were going to score 5 runs every single night, but strike out 18 times every single night, you take it.
Sure. Yeah.
You take it. So yeah, it was ugly, but dubs for days.
I should probably start trashing players more on Twitter. And by trashing, I mean just saying like the facts, the facts.
In your own, biased way, sure.
I mean, literally just posted numbers with the Julio tweet. Yeah. Just numbers
Biased,
that exist that you can find.
You take away the best week of his year, and he's not been very good.
Oh yeah,
one
week out of 3 months. 1 week out of 3 months.
You just take that out. Yeah.
1 week out of 12.
Sure, totally fair. Totally fair. Did you take out his worst week too? Didn't think so.
I could. If you want me to, it still look bad.
Fine. It probably looks like his normal slash line if he did that. So, like his actual slash line right now.
Oh yeah. Which is it's about league average. Yeah, slightly above league average. Yeah. Hey, good day for Julio though. Parking that ball in the gap, that was massive. And that seemed like something the Mariners desperately needed. Like that was all they were going to get. Fortunately, Jerry comes through with the bases clearing triple, and they're able to pull away there and possibly save Paul Sewald from a 3rd straight day pitching. So that was huge as well.
Yeah, he was already up and hot, so kind of counts as using them anyways. But whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I guess no stress of the actual high leverage pitches, but yeah.
After he had a rough one yesterday,
yeah. So that was pretty big. All right, we're gonna stick with pitching here. We're gonna talk about Bryce Miller. He was really, really solid today. So we're gonna go over his start in just a moment. But first, a reminder: this episode of the Locked On Mariners postgame show is brought to you by eBay Motors. For a championship team, it's all about making sure every player is a perfect fit. It's the same when it comes to your vehicle. Every part needs to fit just right. So the next time you need parts and accessories, head on over to eBay Motors. With eBay Guaranteed Fit, you can be sure every part you need fits right the first time around. Just add your ride to My Garage and look for the green check to know the part will fit or your money back. Because just like in sports, confidence is the name of the game when you shop on eBay Motors. And with over 122 million parts to choose from, you'll be back in the game in no time. After all, it's easy to bring home a win when the right parts are guaranteed. Get the right parts, the right fit, and the right prices on ebaymotors.com. ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. And you're listening to the Locked On Mariners postgame show. Thank you again for making us your first listen after the Mariners 5-1 win over the Chicago White Sox. Colby, are you frozen or are you just sitting still? I cannot tell, and I'm incredibly concerned that we've lost connection with one another. You have disconnected.
Uh-oh.
Or maybe you're lagging. I hear you now. I hear you. You're making noise, but you are not moving on my end. So I'm going to try and ramble here for a quick second and hope that your internet figures itself out. Let's go over Bryce Miller's numbers as we hope that Colby's connection gets its stuff together. All right. So Bryce Miller today, and that's amazing what I just did. I just went on Friday's game. So we're just all over the place right now on the Locked On Mariners post-game show. However, I am getting today's game up so I can read you Bryce Miller's stat line. All right, here we go. I got it. We're good now. 7 innings pitched, 4 hits allowed, just 1 earned run, 6 strikeouts, just no walks. He did give up quite a few hard hit balls. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 hard hit balls. But he was able to get through this thing relatively clean. And Colby, I think you're back now. So yay, we did it. You just heard the numbers that I listed here from Miller. What did you think about his afternoon today?
It was interesting. I don't want to say that he was really good, but then again, that might just be because I'm comparing him to Lance Lynn, who was incredible. But just 8 whiffs today from Miller, although he did get 6 strikeouts, which is a pretty nice number for him. What was interesting about Miller is that we talked about this after Friday night's win, that the Mariners very clearly had a plan that they were going to try and slider the Chicago White Sox to death. And tonight was really the first game that Miller was successful, where he didn't, I don't want to say overly rely on the fastball, but he only threw it 59% of the time tonight. The slider was his number one secondary pitch. He threw it 26 times, 31% of his pitches were the slider in this game. He also threw what is credited with 5 sweepers. And so at the end of the day, essentially Miller was 59% fastball, 40%, breaking ball or off speed. So it was much more of an off speed mix today from Miller. Didn't get a ton of whiffs. He did get, 7 whiffs on the fastball, but on 32 swings, 9 called strikes. It's a pretty good number on that pitch. And as has become the case with Bryce Miller, a lot of foul balls. That is the kind of side effect of throwing this high spin rate fastball when hitters know it's coming, is they're not really going to be able to square it up much, but they are going to be able to foul it off. And today Miller was able to use his off speed stuff to kind of put hitters away, avoid the long at bats, which has sometimes been an issue with Miller. He only threw 85 pitches through 7. I thought maybe there was a shot they put him back out there for the 8th, considering how tough the bullpen has had it the last few days. Obviously Munoz is not at a spot where they're going to use him 3 days in a row. And I don't think they want to do that with Brash still. They were apparently willing to do it with Sewald, which I think speaks to how important the Mariners thought this game was for them. Thankfully they didn't have to. But yeah, the bullpen wasn't in great shape, so I thought maybe they might push Miller out there for the 8th with 85 pitches. They didn't. It ended up being the right decision, and Miller's day, stats-wise, really good. Few too many hard hit balls, sure, but he didn't walk anybody. That's the big one. Didn't get a lot of whiffs, which is kind of like our go-to. He only had a 15% whiff rate today, which is very low, but he did get a handful of called strikes and foul balls. While they're certainly not whiffs, they're not all foul balls are created equal either. If you foul a pitch straight back, obviously that's different than if you barely get a piece of one and you nub it down the line. But foul balls are, at the end of the day, they are strikes without consequences. They are, strikes that cannot possibly hurt you. So foul balls are always going to be a part of Miller in his profile until he sharpens up those sliders or the curveball, and he can get more whiffs on those pitches. But overall today, I thought he was pretty good. Fastball velocity right where you wanted it to be. And it was just more of a mix. It's kind of funny here. Apparently Bryce Miller threw a curveball that had a maximum of 61-inch vertical break, which I'm not sure how that works. It's apparently 1 inch below his average for the year. So I'm not sure what's going on with that. I thought the slider today was actually pretty good. It was out of the middle of the plate for the most part. And again, no walks. That's the key for Bryce Miller. He's probably not ever going to be, well, at least not until he gets the breaking stuff ready. He's not going to be a 9K per 9 type of guy against most teams. So 6 strikeouts through 7 innings is a pretty good number for him. And the fastball was what you wanted it to be, out of the middle of the plate. And we saw more of the slider and the sweeper than we ever have. So overall, it's tough to call it a great night when you watch what Lance Lynn did on the other side, but also we could just call it straight up right now. Bryce Miller outpitched Lance Lynn. Like, as crazy as it is, that is the case.
Let's be fair here. I mean, Lynn was great. Don't get me wrong. The Mariners also helped him out a little bit, at least a little bit today. I think it's fair to say that the Mariners helped him out a little.
Lynn was really good, though.
He was really good. The Mariners,
he was on the
look into
corners.
trading for him. By the way,
yeah,
I'm gonna continue to pound that table.
Sure.
But yeah. All right. In my panic that I thought we were going to lose our recording here with your whole internet situation, I forgot to mention the Mariners going out on the road They begin with the Yankees starting tomorrow, Yankee Stadium. You can catch all the action on the Mariners hometown broadcast with SiriusXM via the SXM app. I was really interested to see if Miller would end up throwing more sliders in this one because, again, we talked about it on Friday about just how bad this White Sox team was against the slider. But we've seen in the past where it would make sense for Miller to throw more breaking balls, but he's just like, screw you, I'm throwing the fastball.
Yeah.
And so I thought maybe we were just going to get that again today. So I was pleasantly surprised to see him use the slider and use it effectively today as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that was good. Like you mentioned, all the hard hit balls, that's not really typical for him. We've seen him somehow find a way to generate a lot of weak contact, especially with that fastball, despite the high velocity that he throws it at. That just seems like a good day overall for the White Sox offense. They weren't able to score runs, but they did have some pretty good at bats against him, and they were able to put together some good contact here. But fortunately, it didn't hurt the Mariners in the end. So overall,
Yeah.
I feel pretty good about Miller's start. I feel about it. I feel roughly the same way I felt about his last start against Miami, where good could be better.
6 walks last time out. So,
well, yeah,
the 0 was the big number.
That's obviously that's the big difference here. But still, a situation where it's like good, could have been better, but we'll absolutely take that, especially for a rookie making his ninth career start at the major league level. So
yeah, he was solid. Justin Topa, kind of the forgotten guy and all the hoopla today. He was really good. Here's my favorite little number for you. He threw just 3 fastballs, 3 2-seamers. All were called strikes. They didn't swing at it. They were all strikes. Every time he threw that pitch, it was a strike, including a pitch that ended up on Pitching Ninja, a 2-seam fastball to Benintendi that had a 21-inch run to it that, I kid you not, started right at the inside corner and was on the outer third of the plate before it hit as it hit Raleigh's glove. So yeah, go check out that pitch if you guys haven't seen it on Pitching Ninja's Twitter feed. Topo was really good today and continues to be just a really solid find. And we saw Munoz looked really good since his return. Brash is getting there. He's getting a lot better. He's walking fewer guys, certainly. And Seawald, minus the hiccup he had yesterday, has just been all-star quality for the entire year. So can
we real quick, can we not blame yesterday's loss on Paul Seawald?
Oh, absolutely not. It's on the offense.
Yeah.
100%. It's on the
Seawald
offense.
shouldn't have even been in that situation to begin with.
Nope. Yep. So it's a bummer. It happens to the best of them, but yeah, the Mariners bullpen appears to be in pretty good shape as they head off on the road. They have the off day tomorrow, which can really help. And again, they didn't use Munoz, Brash, or...
Oh, sorry. They're off tomorrow? Oh,
yes.
My bad. Okay.
Yes.
So Tuesday through Thursday, you can catch the Mariners and the Yankees on the Mariners hometown broadcast with SiriusXM via the SXM app. Correction.
Didn't want to derail the entire show for that, but yeah, sure. So yeah, obviously the Mariners, they're going to have all their high leverage guys when they go to New York. So that's going to be great. They'll all have multiple days off when they get there as well, thanks to the off day. And thanks really to Justin Topa and, Jared Kelenic. So it was a good day for the Mariners pitching staff overall and just a pretty good homestand. So they've won 2 series in a row. That's great. They're going on the road here. I think we're about to talk about, what our expectations are for that in just a minute. But overall, it's still a really good homestand. And yeah, it's a little frustrating that they could have won, one of the 2 games that they lost, or maybe probably even both of them they could have won or should have won. But at the end of the day, it's 4-2 against, one of the better teams in the National League right now. And you took care of business against a bad Chicago White Sox roster. You did what you had to do there, and you won 2 out of 3. So yeah, you do that the rest of the year, you're going to be in the playoffs. So we'll see what kind of steps they can make on the road.
You're listening to the Locked On Mariners postgame show. Thank you again for making us your first listen after the Mariners 5-1 win over the Chicago White Sox. Again, starting Tuesday, not tomorrow, Tuesday, you can catch the Mariners and the Yankees on the Mariners hometown broadcast with SiriusXM via the SXM app. This is a big road trip. This is a very big road trip. If you have a disaster, could derail things completely. Because we're now at the point where every win, every loss matters in the grand scheme of things of how you approach the deadline, which the Mariners, even if they get on a nice little run here, they are going to need some help. And depending on if there is a run, how good that run is, that'll determine how aggressive they get at the deadline and addressing some of their needs. So we can talk all we want about what we hope happens on this road trip, but Colby, what needs to happen on this road trip?
Well, the first thing that needs to happen is you guys need to send us your all-star ballots voting for JP with the hashtag JP4ASG. You can send it to us on Twitter or email, and you will be entered to win a lovely Luis Castillo autograph card. And if JP actually makes it to the All-Star game, even as a replacement, then we will be giving away kind of a team box type of thing that's going to be fun to put together. The second thing that needs to happen is we need your questions for Mailbag Monday. Send them to us on Twitter after I send out the tweet or via email. We're going to give special priority to the email questions since you guys have rocked out the JP All-Star vote via email, which is a bit surprising. So, we'll make sure you send us those questions. As for what needs to happen on this road trip or what we think will happen, you have to win one of these series. Like that's just, you have to win one. It doesn't matter much which one it is. But you have to, like, you can't go 1-2 and 1-2 in these series. You have to find a way to go 3-3 on this road trip. And, you could say it's 3-3, 2-4. What's the difference? Well, it's 2 games under 500 as you come back home versus being 500 again. Heck, if you want to go 4-2 or 5-1 or 6-0, those are all bonuses. Those are great, but you have to find a way to win one of these series and you can't get swept. I guess you could get swept and then sweep the other series, but at the end of the day, you have to go 3-3 to kind of build any kind of momentum. And the road has been really tough for the Mariners. In the last homestand before the last road trip, they won 7 of 10. This last time they won 4 of 6. They're starting to play better at home. That's great. And then they went on the road and it was a disaster. You have to avoid it, especially since you're chasing these teams. You can't afford to hemorrhage games against them. And you want to keep your momentum going. So I think you have to go 3-3. I think you have to find a way.
Have to. Absolutely have to, because you had an opportunity here to maybe be 6.5 back of first place exiting this weekend, and instead you are 8.5 back, which is where you were entering this weekend series. You did pick up a couple games on Houston, but again, can you get to 5 back before the All-Star break? I think that would be huge. There's still a chance, but you're gonna have to do some damage on this road trip.
Yeah, I mean, look, if they go 2-4, they're not out of it.
No,
but you're at the point now where it's not enough to just win series, because it's not like if you just win series for every series for the rest of the year after this road trip, you're still going to end up with 90 wins. Fine, cool, whatever. Mm-hmm. But you might not end up with the best team you could possibly have, because Jerry and Justin are going to look at this squad and say, look, we got to be realistic about where we are. We could catch fire. We could, but if we don't win 8 in a row or something,
let's not beat around the bush here. Being able to feasibly compete for the division changes things a lot.
Yeah.
If you can justify that, if you can talk yourself into still making a run and winning the division, that changes a lot of things. That changes how you approach the deadline, as opposed to just going for another wild card berth, which still matters, but it might not incentivize the Mariners to maybe pay a $1.10 on a player instead of just $1 on another guy.
It also eliminates rentals, because why on earth would you go pay the 130 cents or $1.30 on the dollar for Jock Peterson, even though the Giants are on fire right now? They're certainly not selling.
They're not trading. Yeah.
But just hypothetically, just because it's a name we've talked about, you're not going to go do that if the payoff is maybe you get the last wild card. You're not going to make that type of move. Now, if we feel good, we're going to get into the wild card game and we have a shot to chase down the Rangers or whoever it is, right? then maybe you do go and you pay that little bit extra to go get a rental like that. So yeah, it's an important road trip because I'll tell you what, if they go 4-2, somehow if they win both of these series, the narrative flips so much from if they go 2-4 and even if they go 3-3, because now you're 2 games up, you're coming back, you get to play Washington, I think it is, before you play Tampa, who's certainly slowing down based off of where they were. Still a very dangerous team, but nowhere near at the pace they were in April and May. So you have a shot there to kind of build momentum towards the All-Star break before you go back out on the road. So the difference between 3-3 is safe, right? It's where you need to be. And it's a huge difference between 2-4 and 4-2, right? It's a 2-game swing. And 2 games could make the difference between the Mariners, like you said, being aggressive at the deadline or kind of being a little bit more cautious than we want them to be, particularly on the rental market. So we'll see where it all goes from here. But it's a big road trip, certainly. And again, I think you have to avoid disaster, which means you have to go 3-3. Again, 2-4 doesn't knock you out, but it's another uphill climb because now you have to win 2 series or sweep the Nationals to get back above 500. And you don't want to keep playing, yo-yo with this 500 mark because it's going to put you in an awkward position where maybe we buy, maybe we sell, maybe we do both. Maybe we only go a little bit.
We just stand pat.
Yeah. Like you have to clear this gap here between you and 500. And it's going to be tough to do it on this road trip, but you can't go back down the hill and then have to go back up the hill to get back to 500 every single time you go on the road. That's just not going to work.
Yeah, being 500 is the worst possible place to be, approaching the trade deadline. So
you're 500 and you're 3 games back of the wild card, but you have 4 teams to pass like they do right now. What do you do?
Yeah. My focus is, and maybe I'm playing a losing game here, but my focus is still the division right now. I think it is attainable. I think they can get on a run and compete for it.
Sure.
But that run has to start soon. It has to start soon.
Right.
And again, what really matters here is, building enough confidence that you can do that you can make that run, that you can make that comeback and chase down the Rangers and the Angels and the Astros, because that completely and ultimately dictates your aggressiveness or lack thereof at the deadline.
Yeah. And in the meantime, the wild card is keeping you right where you're within shouting distance and playoffs are better than no playoffs. So Would you like to win the division? Sure. Were we kind of hoping this would be the year you take that jump? Sure. Is it the end of the world if you don't take that jump? No. Is it a bit disappointing? Sure. Yeah. So I think again, it's important for me to get in the wild card. You just have to play good ball, 500 on the road, win your series at home. To win the division, I think you're going to have to reel off an 8-9 game win streak or something like that at some point. And I don't know if they're capable of doing that, but I also don't know if they're not capable because this team continues to just absolutely flummox me.
I think the thing that we should just stop doing with this team is assume, right? Because this weekend, right? We assumed that, or at least I did, that they had it figured out offensively. We had seen a good, week and a half, 2 weeks of this, and then, the last, I don't know, before that triple, the last 14 innings had looked terrible. It looked like they were back to ground zero, basically. And then the triple happens, and now we feel a lot better, and we'll see if they can maintain that momentum going into New York. Now, Aaron Judge is not supposed to play in this series. We'll see if he magically appears somehow.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah, same, man. But there's an opportunity there. The Yankees without Aaron Judge is a lot less scary than with Aaron Judge. So I don't think I'm going out on a limb by saying that. So
this time you get Cole where you didn't last time, but whatever.
The Mariners own Garrett Cole.
Sure. Especially 6 innings in the first.
Jared Kelnick owns.
You know what? We're probably going to get an appearance from the Seattle Mariners guy again. Your favorite. That'll do it. Thanks for joining us on Locked On Mariners.
Man, I hate you. Yeah. So
We should get that guy to do our outro.
I'm good. I'll pass. I'll pass.
Let us know in the comments if you want us to get the guy with the Seattle Mariners thing to get him to do our outro.
Please
let us know.
Please don't.
Let us
Please
know.
don't. Keep your comments to yourself. That's going to do it for our show. Thank you so much for joining us on Locked On Mariners. Colby Padnode. I'm Trident Gonzalez. Be sure to give us a follow on Twitter at LO_Mariners. You can follow me at Dane Gonzalez. That's DANEGNZLZ, and Colby at CPAT11. That's CPAT11. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok as well at Locked On Mariners. You can also find all that stuff in the description of this episode. Thank you again for making us your first listen. Be sure to get us your questions for tomorrow, Mailbag Monday. Email us at lockedonmariners@gmail.com. Tweet at us at LO_Mariners. Have yourself a beautiful baseball day, and we'll see you tomorrow. Peace.
Go Mariners.